It appears that the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, are yet to recover from the fallout of the party's convention that elected former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as its presidential candidate for the 2023 elections. Atiku Abubakar's main challenger in the primary, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, is still aggrieved despite several interventions by the leadership of the party to appease him. Wike has since been hobnobbing with members of the ruling All Progressive Congress. Two of his projects were this week commissioned by two chieftains of the APC. Is the PDP going into the 2023 election as one and a united family? A member of the PDP, Umar Sani, joins us in the studio. It's a pleasure to have you join us here, sir.
It is my pleasure.
Yes, and while we have Aminu Saliu Yakudima, a public affairs analyst who joins us virtually to provide sponsor. Yakudima, I'm not sure if I've pronounced that correctly, but correct me, please. Good morning and thanks for joining us on the show.
Morning. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Did I pronounce that name correctly, sir?
Yes, you did.
Okay. It's a pleasure to understand. I don't want to start paying fines this morning. Indeed. We will start with you. Thank you, by the way, for your patience. We understand that you've been waiting for a while. The PDP crisis, at the time, it appeared like everything was going smoothly after the conventions. We saw hugs, we saw happy faces, and then suddenly things took a different turn, and we heard all kinds of things. We've seen all kinds of images. We've seen accusation forth and back. We've seen governors not showing up at a supposed what do you call it, rally of another party that was another state that was supposed to be a prospect for the state. What exactly is happening with the PDP?
So many things is happening with the party. Not only PDP, but other crisis is not new to PDP as a political party. PDP has experienced so many crises right in the beginning. And this is not the first time that the party, if you remember, to my reading, this is about the 13th crisis in the PDP right inception. And I don't think something to worry about as far as the leadership of the party is concerned, because the is part of politics as well. When you political and you have membership within the rank and file of the political party, must have disagreement. Agreement is also part of partisan politics, is that happens in the political party. So I people who are also studying the proliferation of political parties as well as the rudiments and process of internal democracy will get worried as well, because this is a democracy that is very young and the growth of democracy in our country. So if you are having the main opposition in crisis, is something to worry about. But I don't think the leadership is getting worried over what is happening.
Okay. All right. So, let me come to you as a party man. Well, we've had discussions with some party men, and the story has always been the same. Crisis? What crisis? This is a family affair. We'll sort it out, and there's no crisis. We're not seeing anything. But unfortunately, just like Sunday said, we've been hearing stories, we've had incidents, we've had accusations and counter-accusations being thrown here and there. We've heard innuendos being dropped in different fora. The PDP seem to have been a formidable force or a united front going into the primaries, and even immediately after the primary election. And I think we didn't get to where we are now until after the vice presidential candidate was actually announced. That was what made everything snowball into what it is, as it is right now. So I guess my question is, we've seen the Board of Trustees meeting, and other committees have been set up to actually wade into this matter and sort out the issue. What is the current state of affairs right now as it is towards resolving this non-crisis or this family affair that we're actually witnessing within the PDP?
Well, I don't see it as a non-crisis.
Okay.
I see it as a crisis.
Okay.
And, you know, the PDP has an internal mechanism. We are exploring all the mechanisms at the moment to be able to resolve the crisis. In fact, as at yesterday, there is a report that Governor Yesemuke has gone to court to insist that he is the candidate and that the court should declare him as the candidate because Governor Tambuwal ought not to have withdrawn on the day of the convention and at the venue of the convention. That is his submission. However, I am oblivious of any law that says that you cannot withdraw at any moment before the commencement of the convention. Perhaps he has legal advice that has given him that, but nevertheless, you know, we continue to appeal to Governor Yesemuke and his group to see reason that the PDP as a main opposition is not the ruling party. And as such, we are trying to give a formidable, you know, and coordinated opposition that will save this country from the current situation that it is at the moment. So the call is for national interest and not for personal interest. Because as it is now, the nation requires salvaging from the misgovernance of the APC, you know, and so the issues are so many. I am not trying to score the administration of President Muhammad Buhari in any way, but in any case, nobody is smiling in Nigeria. If you take a look at their tripod, they have talked about security, they have talked about corruption, anti-corruption or fighting corruption, and then they have talked about the economy. And if you take a holistic look at all these three factors, you will see that there is nowhere you can score them high or say the performance is satisfactory. So currently the nation is bedeviled with the issue of unity. That is why you have, you know, calls for self-determination from various ethnic groups. You have the Sunday Igboho self-determination, and of course the IPOB self-determination calls, the MASOB, and so many others that are calling for, you know, either a state restructuring or whatsoever. So it means something is deeply wrong in the system. And so the need for us to now rescue Nigeria from such vices is preeminent and should be placed far above any partisan or any personal gains or personal interest. So we believe that Governor Yesemuke, in spite of the court challenge, will see reason, you know, with us, and of course, you know, toward the party's line.
Staying with you, I'm happy you have acknowledged that indeed there is a problem. As an average Nigerian, my worry is, how do you talk about rescuing the entity called Nigeria if you cannot rescue the PDP? The impression I get is, why it appears like the fight is with Governor Yesemuke. We've seen other governors seem to be leaning on his part. We've seen the Benue State governor. I think we have seen Makinde of Oyo State. And two critical states of the PDP, it does appear. Is it a case of whatever reconciliation move that is happening not appropriately reaching out to the warring factions? Or what exactly are these issues that Governor Wike wants addressed, really?
Let me start by saying that, you know, family issues does not translate to incapacity or inability to rule effectively, because everybody has family issues. Now you will be in your house and your child can be very wary.
That's right.
And then it does not make you a very bad administrator because your child is misbehaving or is doing some other things. So the fact is, we have family issues and we are trying to resolve it. And now one of our family members is a very critical and key stakeholder of the party. He has been there for the party and the party has been there for him. But unfortunately, it is a democracy and not an autocracy. So you must approach democracy on its own merit and in its own principles. And so you cannot take the presidency and say, okay, we are rewarding you, take it. You have to contest for it, and you have to campaign for it, and you have to lobby for it, and you have to win it and to earn it. And so I think everybody has seen that our primaries has been very transparent. It has been very free and fair and equitable. And so Atiku Abubakar won the primaries on his own merit. And now, having won the primaries, he is the candidate. He didn't say, it's a winner take all. But again, Governor Nyesom Wike has indicated that he is not interested in becoming the vice president. He has indicated clearly. Now, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, in his magnanimity, because in 2019, when he selected Peter Obi as the vice presidential candidate, there were hues and cries. Even the socio-cultural organizations like the Ohane Eze Ndigbo, and of course some very prominent Igbo, and even the governors of the Southeast, they raised objections to the method which he used. They insisted that there was no adequate and satisfactory consultations to be able to bring him on board. So this time around, he felt there was the need for that wider consultations and the need to be able to bring everybody on board. And he gave a mandate to a particular group. The group they are eminent members and critical stakeholders of our party, and they sat down and recommended 3 names to him. And he is the one who has the ultimate choice. And that is within the tradition of the PDP. Because even if you are very aware of how PDP does its own appointments in the past, you will discover that even if there is a ministerial appointment, 3 names are always sent and 1 is chosen. So it is within the tradition of the PDP, and he actually, selected the person he feels he can work with. So I don't think that should necessitate or bring up a crisis. Now, after that, the Governor Wike's group met and insisted on 3-pronged approach. They needed one, that the national chairman, Ayo, should step aside, and another person to step in. Number 2, they wanted Alhaji Atiku Abubakar to give a commitment that if he wins in 2023, he will only do one term in office. And then the 3rd one is that every appointments that will take place after his winning should be done with their group, and in consultations with their group. These things were placed on the table. And after critical examination, there are some of these demands are not practicable. For instance, the party has a history, and that history is predicated on the fact that from 2015 to date, every national chairman of the party was put in there by Governor Wike. When Adamu Maazu left, there was a vacancy in the Northeast. And Governor Wike, together with Governor Fayoshe, brought in Alimodu Sharif as the chairman. And Governor Alimodu Sharif, acted within that period for a period. And when the National Convention was to come up, they stopped him from further becoming the national chairman. And they moved ahead they moved ahead to put in Magarvi, who was to bring in an elected chairman. And Magarvi actually, set up a zoning committee. The zoning committee recommended that the position should be zoned to the southwest. And a professor who was a former minister of education in Jonathan's government was favored to become the party chairman. And all of a sudden, Governor Wiki stepped in, and insisted that it has to be Secondos. And the party took this line and voted for Secondos. So having brought Secondos in, again, Secondos was about to conclude his tenure, about 3 to 4 months to his tenure. Governor Wiki stepped in, went to court, sought an ex parte order, and removed Secondos for no just reason. There is no reason whatsoever, because nobody has given any reason up to this moment why Secondos was removed. Again, in consultation and in cooperation and collaboration with Governor Otom, they brought in Senator Ayu as the national chairman. Now, he was the one who brought him, believing that Senator Ayu will do his bidding. Unfortunately, Senator Ayu decided to be neutral. And so, like a very prominent commentator once said, that the better side won.
Okay. All right, well, at this point, let's bring in our virtual guest. My question to you now is, we saw the background, we've heard the background of the crisis in the PDP, and we've seen how things are actually unfolding. And we've seen how Governor Wiki has been entertaining certain sections of the polity, you understand, and a lot of insinuations have been bandied around, and lots of permutations have been made concerning where his loyalties actually lie. Should the PDP be worried?
Yes, of course, PDP will be worried, because when you have a stakeholder of critical status in of a governor, also Wiki, pulling out and try to form a very serious opposition group within the party is something to worry about. For me, the party, a stakeholder that is involved in the permutation and the promotion of the party activities. Not even Wiki, other person. PDP has been experiencing a lot of crises, as I said, of the party when it was inaugurated on the 30th of November, 1998. The first convention in Jos in 1998 had involved in crisis in the party. Fortunately, the party wriggles out itself and continue and form government, and the party was in governance for 16 years. Each convention that the party goes in ends with crisis of one reason or another. Again, the national chairman of the party, from beginning, right from the pro-team national chairman, led Alice Ikweme, to Salah and Senator Chief Barnabas Gamade, as well as Audu Ali and Audu Obe, right to the present national chairman, Ayechu Ayu, the 16th national chairman. Any national chairman has ended a tenure peacefully, except Salamullah. And each tenure of the chairman in the PDP was crisis-riddled tenure. And this is part of this agreement that has to do with polity, which one should not blame anybody, but blame the actors or the stakeholders involved in the activities of the party. And I say, he has mechanisms, internal mechanisms of sorting out the crisis. And this one, I believe it. What Governor Wansom Wike is bringing to table is something very critical that has to look at very critically as well, so that he can be persuaded to be back in the fold. But if this crisis continues to generate momentum, it means that the party will go into a general election in divided. That will be a costly and dangerous position for the party that cannot be able put out itself. So it's very important this crisis is leaving the board. There is a statement that the stakeholders had, and there is a meeting, yet another meeting, so that these issues clearly. But when you begin to say that one agreed person or group of persons will be left behind without employing voices of wisdom to see how they can be convinced to be part and parcel of the whole of the party, then there are going to be problems. And no party, no political party will go to a general election divided and expect to win. Be very, very difficult. There's need for PDP to reassess, realign, re-engineer, and try to have everybody on board because of the situation. And this one, a crisis that is coming unexpected because of certain interests that are involved. And it's surprising, as I said, all the political PDP have one crisis or the other, and nobody has survived such crisis except Salamullah, the successful. As without Salamullah, no any chairman, national chairman of that party that has survived the crisis. So it's important that they nip things in the board so that all their access together and try to have one party with one voice and try to put what is a strategic framework for winning an election. Okay. It is not time for trying to generate crisis and disagreement whatsoever.
Thank you.
It is time.
Thank you. Coming back to you in the studio, sir, clearly we have a crisis, as admitted by the two of you. And one would have thought that the gains that the PDP made, with what appears a very peaceful convention, should have given you edge with kickstarting your messaging ahead of the 2023 elections. That gain seemed to have frittered away, even though the ruling party seemed to have its own fair share of crisis. It meant the time that you should have used to advance your cause, you have spent trying to settle this problem. How much of time is there to salvage the current situation? And clearly, what has to give? On the both sides, there must be compromises if you have to move forward. What has to give on the both sides from your perspective? And is there a chance that this would have cost you some valuable time with regards to wooing people to your own side of the ticket?
Well, you see, politics generally is about alignments and realignments. At this critical time, you have seen people moving, which we call movement of the people, from one political party to another. These are times for alignment and realignments. Whether with genuine excuses or with flimsy excuses, people move. Maybe somebody is denied ticket somewhere here, and he feels he can no longer continue to work for a political party that has denied him ticket. It's a general phenomenon, which we all know. But that is not the critical question. Governor Wansom Wike is banking on the fact that he has been a critical stakeholder, he has stood for the party, he has worked assiduously for the party, and so he has a sense of entitlement to certain things. However, political parties don't work like that. people who have suffered for political parties end up not being the beneficiaries of that political party, but at least they end up being either kingmakers or so forth and so on. You can take a critical look at this, you know, without any fear of contradiction. I believe that the people who have set in motion the PDP itself is President Babangida and some other General Adeguso and the rest, because Babangida used to refer to them as the military wing of the PDP, and they put that machinery in motion, you know, dictated the terms and then set the party on a proper path. Now the party has reached this stage. IBB himself has tried to contest within the party, and he lost. You know, so you can be the benefactor of the party, but not be a beneficiary of that system. You know, so the general issue is we are looking at ways and means now to be able to resolve this matter. The three issues he has raised are critical, but they are not practicable. You can't, with this type of history, now begin to change another chairman at this point in time that we are supposed to consolidate, you know, and move, you know, like a team to the general election. You cannot, if you want to remove the national chairman, there are so many issues involved. One, the national chairman didn't come as a result of merely an election. There was also a committee that zoned the positions. So some of the positions were zoned because the national chairman went to the north, and so the other positions went to the south. Now, if you are removing the national chairman and you are saying that position should move to the south, then certain positions that are in the south must move to the north. And certain positions in the north must also move to the south. So it is a very tedious process. Again, there has to be a national convention to be able to actualize this. Now, within the time frame that we have to campaign, is it the time we will now go back and be doing a national convention of the party? It is not practicable. So, again, the second request is that Atiku should agree. Now, there are two issues here. One, he said Atiku has to agree that he is going to do one term. Now, what the law has given you as your right, you cannot waive it merely because of a demand. Even if you do that, and then you now come back and fail to implement, the people will say they have an agreement, but that agreement is in honor binding, because the law will be on your side. Because the law says you can do 4 years and another 4 years. So for you to go and write an agreement and say, okay, I'm going to do 4 years, it's not practical. But again, himself, without being prompted, without clearly stating what he meant, but we also know what it means. Atiku Abubakar, in his own declaration speech, said he was going to run a transition government. And a transition government means that I'm coming to solve problems, and immediately I solve this problem,
set you on the path.
Set you on the path, I'm going. That is what Mandela's government was, a transition government. And it was just a one-term transition government. So you don't have to ask for it. The man has already said it. And now if you are talking about the other issue that has to do with consultation, Wike is a critical stakeholder. There is no way appointments will be done, you know, if we win, without consulting with him in certain key areas. More so, he carries along with him, you know, the importance of being the second, which means he is also adequately spread across the country in terms of reach. You know, so you can't say that he does not enjoy some support, some level of support, and then he is inconsequential. Nobody is saying that. So if in a negotiation process, you are able to get 2 out of your 3 demands, I think it is a successful, you know, negotiation process. So I believe that with that, unless of course Governor Nyesom Wike is still insisting that he has to be the presidential candidate, which is why he has gone to court. I think the groundwork has been done for him to be integrated into the party and for the party to succeed.
All right. Okay, that's quite interesting. Also, Male, before we go as on a final note now, I just let's talk generally. Let's talk generally about the 2023 election and the presidential race and how it's actually shaping up to be right now. We've been talking about the PDP and all that's been happening within the PDP. We should not forget the fact that the ruling party itself has its own issues or has its own family affair that is actually settling right now and it has its own problems. Do you think these internal crises rocking these two major political parties going into the presidential election have taken the focus away from an issue-based campaign? We're not talking about the issues now that we need to address as a nation, and we're strictly focusing on these crises of these political parties, because going into an election year, I think the issues we're going to face should be highlighted, and that is what we're trying to deal with. But instead, now we're looking at the individual crises rocking these political parties. Do you think this bodes well for the polity?
No, it's not going to augur well for the politics, certainly. But if you assess the situation clearly, especially the as well as the pain of the president, you understand and agree with me that Atiku Abubakar drill. He is talking to Nigerians and talking on issues based. Crisis, internal crisis, and you cannot avoid that internal crisis in a political party because it's part of partisan politics. Yeah. The ruling APC has its own crisis also, which they are to see how they can sort it out and nip it in the bud. These are things that could get us distracted and try to be issues of serious concern as far as the politics and Nigerians are. But what we have that are unpalatable in this country are so many that cannot be forgotten easily or tried to be swept away, which must be because when you talk about the economy, is that is Alice in Wonderland economy, and you talk of the collapse of the security architecture itself, and the problems of collapse of infrastructure and education. These are things that cannot be shy away from, must be addressed, and cannot also concerning governance and concerning the citizen, which has to be addressed. And the party put a strategic framework, try to see, educate the Nigerians and try to say this is how this issue can be solved. That
All right, thank you very much. All right, thank you very much for those insights right there, and we do appreciate having you on the program, and we appreciate all those analysis that we've actually listened to this morning. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
you are most welcome.